Welcome to Backyard Cigars, and today I'm smoking La Aurora 100 años edición especial. This is a 5x50 Robusto Maduro, so it's actually La Aurora 100 años Robusto Maduro edición especial. And it is a cigar that was produced, I believe, in 2003 to commemorate 100 years of the company's founding. And the company was founded, I believe, in 1903 by Eduardo Leon Jimenez. Originally, they started off in one location, then they moved to Santiago, and then they moved slightly outside the outskirts of Santiago. And then they moved now, which I believe their headquarters is currently in the Free Zone in Tamboril. So, but it has deep roots in Santiago de los Caballeros, Dominican Republic. It is a place very well known for cigars and cigar history. And what we see with this cigar here is a very dark oscuro wrapper. It is a Connecticut broadleaf. The binder and the filler are, of course, Dominican. I'm gonna think Cuban seed, but I'm not 100% sure. And this is the oldest cigar company in the Dominican Republic. It has deep history. And on top of all of that, this company has not just been content with producing cigars. They also manufacture cigarettes. They're in bed with Philip Morris. They have produced a line of rum. They own a large share, if not all, of the major beer and beverage production company, Cerveceria, I forget the name of it, but they make Presidente, or they're behind Presidente. So they've dabbled and they've got their hands in a lot of cookie jars in the Dominican Republic. They are raking in the dough. Cigars, cigarettes, rum, and on top of that, beer. So I'm not surprised if at some point in time there you're gonna see La Aurora clothing line. I don't know, maybe. But I've heard a lot about them. I've definitely been told that their rich history has played a part in a lot of cigar smokers' habits in the Dominican Republic. When I went to the Dominican Republic, the very first cigar that I bought was a La Aurora. And it was, well, I chose a very mild one. I don't remember which one, but it was mild. And it came in a tubo. And I enjoyed it quite a lot. So this has a very slightly loose draw, and it also has a lot of smoke output. Right now, after only taking several puffs, I'm getting leather, is what I'm getting. Getting a taste of leather. Someone once asked me, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, how do you know what leather tastes like? Well, I'll share the story. When I was a kid and I was quite a troublesome child, my mother would employ the belt on me. And on one particular occasion, I reached out like a dog and bit the belt. And it was a leather belt, of course, genuine leather. And it was a soft leather, I remember. And I clenched it between my teeth. And I said, "You can't hit me now." And I'll never forget, that was my first taste of leather. I just have an uncanny ability to taste certain things and not forget what they taste like. But I digress. Back to the cigar. Still leather. So I'm gonna smoke a little more of this baby and I'll get right back to you. Okay, so while the leather is still here, I'm getting a little sweetness and I'm getting a little bit of a dark coffee hint. It's got a very dry finish. And this is a full-bodied stick. Hands down, it's full-bodied from the moment you light it. So, that being said, it's pretty smooth. Not much pepper yet. Not that I know that it's going to arrive. This is actually the first time I've smoked this particular cigar. It needs a little touch-up at this point in time, so I'm gonna do that. I could wait and it may correct itself, but let's just get it out of the way, shall we? I like it so far. For some reason, there isn't much complexity to this cigar at this point. It really went from leathery, dry finish to leathery with some dark coffee notes and a hint of sweetness. So I'm gonna take a little more time with it, and just in a few, I'll be right back. You know, lately I've been smoking larger cigars, so smoking a pedestrian size 5x50 Robusto just seems really odd to me. It seems to me as if there is just not enough cigar for me to smoke, and accustomed to smoking the larger ring gauges or the longer cigars can sometimes do that. But I don't mind, because at the moment I really just wanted to smoke a Robusto sized cigar, so it fit the bill. But there is one thing I want to talk about when it comes to this particular cigar from La Aurora. I've needed to touch it up several times. In some cases, I have said that when a cigar tastes incredibly good, you don't think about it. You don't knock off points for it, even though it may deserve to get a point or two knocked off. But for the most part, you kind of just let it be and enjoy the ride. This, and a long time ago, I said I wasn't going to really get into prices. But lately I'm starting to feel that with the current crisis, you kind of have to think about every dollar you spend, right? Even if you have a lot of money, you have to make sure that you stay having a lot of money. And one way that you do that, other than investing and making good business decisions, is by knowing that you're going to get something in return for the money you spend. This is, I believe, $15, and it was purchased online. So when I did a price comparison, I didn't really see many retailers or many online shops selling it for a lot lower than that, unless you bought a box or something like that, or there was perhaps a special sale going on. So that has to be mentioned that this 5x50 Robusto is $15. Anytime you're spending that amount of money for a cigar, you're going to have expectations, as I've said before. Expectations, we all have them, right? You go into any situation, you're going to have expectations. If you go to a movie theater, you expect good popcorn. That's an expectation. If you go to a steakhouse, you expect to have some really good steak. You also know that you may have to pay a lot of money for that. But the trade-off is that you're going to have a great meal, a great steak. Not going to pass judgment on the cigar just yet, because there's some more cigar to smoke. I love the smoke output. When I puff on it, it almost feels like when you are in a really fast car and you go into that full gear and you just take off and leave a trail of smoke behind you, and 0 to 60 in like, I don't know, 3.5, 4 seconds, because it really does produce a lot of smoke. The aroma is average. There's nothing that I normally get from really great or really good Dominican cigars that have that aromatic effect. I'm not getting it in this cigar. In terms of flavor, it's full of flavor, full of body. So I'm not going to complain about that either. But I have expectations. I'm getting some wood, and a little bit more of that sweetness is popping up. But some of that leather is returning as well. And now I'm getting the pepper, followed by a nice sweet finish. So as I head into this final third, the cigar is kind of trying to pull a Hail Mary on me, and you know, maybe it'll pull it off. Touches aside, the cigar has been producing very good smoke output. The draw has been perfect. Full-bodied stick with a lot of flavor of leather, dark coffee, some sweetness, and some light wood notes is all I've gotten to this point. Another thing I've noticed is that the cigar has kind of warmed up to the touch quite a bit. So that's just something I've noticed. Like, as I rest my fingers on it right here, I can feel that warmth, and it makes my fingers sort of not want to be there. And so I'm moving it up a little bit, but that's something else I've noticed. Could be the fact that I'm just haven't smoked the Robusto in quite a while. Could be. But here it goes again. I need another touch-up. Easy enough. The finish isn't as dry as it was earlier on. It's definitely sweeter. So a little bit of a sweetness to it. Pepper notes are popping, and that leather backbone is still part of the cigar, along with a rich coffee note that you get. I'm gonna smoke just a tad bit more, and then I'm gonna come back and sum it all up. Okay, so preparing myself to go into nub state, and I will smoke it to the nub because I paid $15 for it. But seriously, this is, to me, worth probably $9 tops in my book. Maybe in your book, not so much, but in my book, that's what it's worth. Mainly because while there was a small amount of complexity to the smoke, I felt that there were some drawbacks. The cigar got hot in the hand pretty quick, and without being overly critical about the burn line, I did have to give it many touch-ups. At one point, the cigar wrapper did peel back a little bit, just a little bit. Wasn't anything that ruined the smoking experience, but something to note. Now, this was in my humidor for about 4 months at about 65, 66 RH. And I made sure that it rested well because I had a lot of hopes for what this cigar would taste like and how I would experience it, how I would enjoy it. I'm not saying I haven't enjoyed myself today with this cigar, but I haven't enjoyed myself to the fullest in the way that I felt that I would. So I had expectations and they were not met. They just weren't. Cien Años was originally a limited edition, as the secondary ban indicated. It was brought back because of consumer demand. When this happened, things may have changed. I don't know. I didn't try the original run of their limited edition. What I do know is that it's commemorating 100 years of their company's existence. So they want to market it as something uber premium, something super special. They should, because it is commemorating 100 years. I get that. But what I don't get is when you put a price tag on it of a certain amount and then it doesn't really live up to those expectations. Now, if anyone else out there has had a chance to smoke this cigar and has had an absolutely amazing experience with it, I'd love to know. I'd love to know at what RH you kept it or how long you laid it down to rest. Those are little things that perhaps may play a difference in the way this cigar is smoked. I'm also a little curious as to why a cigar that is commemorating 100 years of the existence of your company wasn't a Dominican puro. Now, that's not to say that every cigar has to be a puro. There are many cigars that are not puros that are wonderful. Obviously, the majority of cigars are not puros. But your company has deep roots in the Dominican Republic, the oldest in the Dominican Republic. The people behind the blends, the people behind the cigars are Dominican. And I just feel that you put a certain price tag on something and, people are going to have certain expectations. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I can think of a number of AJ Fernandez cigars that can just really make you forget this cigar. I'm just being honest here, I don't hate it. It's not a bad cigar. It's just not great. And I expected it to be great. Shame on me for thinking that. Now, despite having said all of that, I'm going to say it again. I love the copious amounts of smoke. It's great. I just wish maybe that smoke smelled a lot better. That would have helped. I like that. I know you guys out there can relate. We smoke a cigar, and there's so many different parts of the experience that we enjoy. Some of us more than others for different reasons. And I like a great smelling cigar. More coffee now in the finish. The leather has kind of subsided just a little bit, but not a lot. Still a lot of leather in here. Coffee, I got a few couple of hints of bitter chocolate in this finish just now, and some spots of pepper popping up. That's pretty much it. And as I head into this final nub, I still have the band on. I am going to say goodbye to you now, and thank you for watching once more. Please leave your comments. Tell me what you think of this cigar if you've had it. I'd love to know. For me, it was okay. I hope that for you, it was great. But please let me know. Thank you, signing off. See you next time on Backyard Cigar.